Before the end of this episode, we're going to have the factory main block contract complete. I've squeezed about 3.5 hours of gameplay down into one, so we got a lot of work to do today in the Yukon adventure. Sit back and relax, everybody. Let's get started. The first job we need to work on is cargo crafting, which is the only contract we have available to us at this point, and it's also a prerequisite to open all the other contracts in this region. So we're going to cruise up the road and get loaded up with 2 wooden planks that we can use to craft a cabin in flooded foothills. I'm using this truck because it has a lot of power, and on the way back we're going to need that extra power to pull a trailer with cargo containers. Once we get into this map, we're going to head over to the cabin crafting area, which is right over by the railway station. So we're going to take this back way over there that avoids all the deep muddy stuff. If you remember back on episode 3 when we opened up all the roads, we brought a cargo container over there already to use just for this job. In order to craft a cabin, you need to have 1 cargo container and 2 wooden planks. So we'll get these turned in and craft that cabin and get it loaded up. From here, we just got to run it over to the hangar that's at the railway station. We'll follow the tracks on the way over there, just being careful not to tip over, and the drop-off is just up ahead. Alright, now that we have that complete, you'll see that we've opened up all of the other contracts except for one, and we're going to activate the 3 factory contracts that are in Big Salmon Peak. Those will be the next 3 things that we work on. Let's head over to the trailer store and grab ourselves a flatbed trailer that we can use to haul a cargo container back over to that map. Big Salmon Peak doesn't have a very big surplus of cargo containers. In fact, there's only 2 over there, and we'll be using them for a task in that area. So any other ones that we would need, we would have to craft. We can load them up here and haul them over there, and that's going to save some materials for crafting other objects that we need. This trailer that I'm using is heavier than the sideboard trailer, so it's a lot harder to pull through these muddy spots, but it's also a lot more stable, and with the side rails on it, it holds the containers in a lot better, and I'd rather have that safety since we don't have a mini crane installed on this truck. The A&K has plenty of power to pull it though. It's already getting pretty muddy through here, just from driving through it once, and pulling this heavy trailer through there slowed me down a bit. But I am using chain tires on this truck, and they do perform a little bit worse in the mud. Now that we're back in Big Salmon Peak, we can run up the road to the cabin crafting area, and we'll get these turned in. The bulk of this episode is going to be us transferring cargo from around the map to the production areas so that we can get ready to start crafting materials. Because it's a longer episode, I've included chapters in this video so you can skip ahead to the factory contract if you'd like to. Although I would implore you to watch the whole thing to see how it lays out and how to get prepared for that contract. We're going to run the White Western Star down to the concrete crafting area, and on the way we're going to pick up the service trailer to bring with us. That way we have a decent service truck down there to keep our other trucks running. We've already used some of the fuel in the White Western Star's tank, so it's not completely full, but that's alright because we can get it filled up at the railway station on this map where the super heavy fuel tanker is. And on the way we're going to fill up all of the reserve tanks in the F750 just in case we need that truck later on for a fuel source. Now that we're down here, I'm just going to park the truck off to the side. Then we'll jump back into the Royal and we're going to start shuffling cargo over to the production areas. On the last episode, we unlocked this warehouse, and there's a limited amount of cargo in it. We're going to load all of it up and haul it over to that concrete plant. So for the first load, we'll take 5 cement over there and get them turned in. We can swing by the White Western Star and get fueled up, and then we'll just head right back over to the warehouse and get loaded again. Even though this is a repetitious task, each time we drive through here the ground gets more tore up, so it's going to get harder and harder as we pass through. For that reason, I'm going to try my best to not drive in the same wheel tracks, but certain spots won't give you much of an option because of where these boulders are placed. It kind of forces you into a bottleneck. Those are going to be the worst spots to get through. So we've taken 5 cement and 5 metal rolls over, and now we can grab 5 more. And after this, there should only be 3 bricks left in the warehouse. Yukon is definitely a region that tests your logistical skills, and if you're kind of playing it just flying by the seat of your pants, you're probably going to have more of a headache because you're constantly going to be wondering what to do next and where to get the materials you need to turn in. I like to take a little bit more of an intentional approach to it. And before I get started working on the contracts, I just spend a little bit of time shuffling cargo around to get everything stocked up. That way we can just craft what we need once we get going, and we don't have to stop and figure out where we're going to get the crafting materials from. So we'll turn in these 3 bricks, and then we're going to head over to the railway station and start shuffling cargo over here from there. There's some cement and metal rolls in that zone that we can load up. Even though we can't use any of the metal rolls for crafting in the concrete production plant, we can use it as a storage zone to load up some of our other hauling trucks later on. So once we've loaded up the 5 cement that are in here, so we have 1 medium pipes, 1 cargo container, and 10 metal rolls remaining. Let's check this other warehouse. We have 1 cargo container, 16 metal rolls, 6 cement, 2 metal beams, and unlimited consumables. Let's run back over to that other production zone. I'm just going to make a loop around the building so I'm facing the right direction when I leave here again. Then we'll head back over there and we'll get the remaining cement that's in the other warehouse. We're going to have to load the 6th one up on top using our mini crane. And then we can just pin it down. Now I'm trying to take a separate path through here so it don't start tearing up that same road. But as you can see, this side is a lot muddier. We had issues with it on the last episode too. You can cruise through here if you can keep your momentum up, but once you slow down, your truck just sinks into the mud, and then it's almost impossible to get any momentum going again. We do have a pretty heavy load on though. Alright, we got those 6 turned in. We're just going to get everything fixed and refueled, and then we're going to pull the Royal off to the side here and park it. Let's head back to the garage. We're going to grab a heavy truck that can pull an 8-slot trailer. I'm using the Pacific P16 for this, although I will say my original plan for this was to use the Kolob 74760, which is an 8x8, the cab over one. So if you're a newer player, I would suggest using that truck, but if you're up for the challenge and you want to keep it more authentic to the North American region, the Pacific P16 is a good choice, but it's going to be a lot more of a struggle and a lot slower. Just make sure if you do use the Kolob that you install the active suspension that we got on this map in episode 2 when we were scouting it out. We're going to head back down to that part of the map where we were just at, and we'll use this to shuffle metal rolls cross-country over to the rolled steel factory. The P16 does have a hard time getting up these icy hills, but if you can stay to the side and try to drive with your wheels on the edge, that'll definitely help quite a bit. Sometimes it's easier said than done when you're pulling the 8-slot trailer. I am going to turn off on this back road. It's a pretty nasty road, but pulling this 8-slot trailer down the railroad tracks is really tough because the legs get stuck on them, so I'd rather go this way. It's a little more of a challenge, but we can get it done. We can get a full load of metal rolls, and we'll head back out the way we came in. This time we're going to head across country down that main artery that we've been driving on quite a few of these episodes now. The first trip through here isn't too bad because it's not really tore up yet, but these metal rolls are pretty heavy and they do deform the map quite a bit. So each trip that we take through here is going to get worse and worse, and you'll definitely be able to see it as we go. The Kolob isn't going to have any issue going down this road whatsoever. We made it to the other end. We just need to squeeze through the fence here, and then we'll get this stuff dropped off. Turning around with the 8-slot trailer is kind of a pain. There isn't anywhere that's really convenient to do it, so I'm just going to pull outside of the fence over here and try to get turned around in this open area. Just make sure you take your corners wide. The back wheels will pull up over the top of that loading bay though. The one thing that I don't really care for when I'm working on this map is the fact that I have to make all of these trips with an empty trailer when I'm running back and forth. It just feels unnatural to me. I like to always be hauling something. I guess on the plus side, it does make it a little easier to drive across here when we're not loaded though. We can get loaded up with 8 more metal rolls and we'll head back over there. Remember to get refueled though. Okay, we've gotten all of them out of this warehouse. It looks like there's 2 metal beams and consumables and 1 cargo container remaining. The second trip through here is definitely going to be a lot harder. You'll notice it for sure. But there's some decent winch points through here that we can use. We'll just keep winding our way down this road. Do your best to try to avoid driving in the same tracks twice. But like before, there's a lot of spots where you don't really have an option. And we're back again. So now we have 16 rolls in there. We're gonna head back over there and make another trip. I know this part of the job can seem a little tedious and repetitious, and it is. But by doing it this way, you're going to set yourself up for a much easier experience later on. And because of the terrain deformation, it definitely adds to the challenge each time we go through here. This last corner here is definitely getting harder and harder to get through. Even now when I'm unloaded, I'm having to winch through there. There's 10 more metal rolls in the other warehouse. We're going to be able to load 8 of them, and then we'll just leave the other 2 for later on. So there's 2 metal rolls, 1 medium pipes, and 1 cargo container remaining. Like I said in the beginning, the 2 cargo containers that are in these 2 warehouses, we're going to use those for a different task on this map. So we're not going to want to use those for crafting cabins. One thing you'll notice about this region is that it actually benefits you quite a bit to haul materials from one map to another in order to get stuff done. The very first warehouse that we opened up on the last episode still has 10 metal rolls and 2 small pipes in it. We're just going to leave them there for now. We won't need them for any of these contracts. The 3 factory contracts that we'll be working on, the drop-off points are all in the same spot, and that's basically all the work that we'll need to do on this map other than the side tasks. So pretty much anything that's in these warehouses, if it's not metal rolls or cement, then we can haul it up to the middle and get it turned in. Alright, we're back from our final trip, and once we get those turned in, we're going to head down the tracks a little ways, and we're going to pick up some of this material that's just sitting around in this area. We have 4 spots to go to. We're going to pick up bricks and wooden planks. Make sure you plan out your approach when you're hauling this 8 slot into these smaller areas. You don't want to get stuck in here, so leave yourself some room to get out for sure. And getting turned around is definitely a tricky task. Let's head up the road here. We'll make a loop around through the logging station, then we'll load up those wooden planks. We'll grab these bricks. Then we can cut through the trees and get loaded up at this last spot. Alright, let's head back over to the rolled steel factory, and we're just going to turn all of this in there. We can haul it out later on when we bring another truck down here. Okay, so now we have 4 bricks, 4 wooden planks, and 24 metal rolls. Let's pull this trailer off to the side. We're going to drop it down here, and then we're going to have to get refueled before we can continue on. So I'll jump back into the garage. We're going to bring down the GMC. I'm going to put a fuel tanker on it. Then we'll head over to the trailer store and pick up a service trailer. I'm using chain tires on this truck because it's going to be all highway driving, and I'm also using the high range gearbox. It's good to have a fuel truck and a repair trailer on each end of the map in the 2 different production zones, because we're going to be making a lot of trips back and forth between them, and a lot of these rocks on the road will damage your suspension on the way. So it's just nice to know that we have something there that we can get fixed up and fueled up with. We made it back. We got the P16 fueled up. We're going to pull it out of the way here. And we can just park over in this corner. Alright, from here, we're going to work on the piping problem task. We need to bring 2 medium pipes over to Manny's house. And if you remember on episode 2, we found that flatbed sitting out in the swamp that has 2 medium pipes already loaded on it. We're going to run over there and pick that up. A little later on, we're going to come up here and get these wooden planks as well. We can drive back through the swamp pretty much all the way over to Manny's house from here. We're just going to go right around this old house and follow it back around to over by where we found that lodestar in the 2nd episode. There are some spots out here where the water gets real deep, but we do have a snorkel on the P16, so we should be just fine. Alright, we got that job done. Let's head back over to the rolled steel factory. We can drop this trailer and grab our 8 slot, and we're going to pick up some more materials out in the swamp. let's head back up this road and I'll show you where we're going to turn off. Taking the 8-slot trailer out into the swamp isn't really the easiest thing to do. There are a few spots where it's tight corners, but I'm feeling a little risky today. We got this. Okay, some of these spots are not showing up on the map because we haven't driven past them yet, but we can run back up to where that wood framing is, and then we'll come back and we can get loaded up with metal planks on that last mark. I just realized that I didn't get refueled from the GMC before we left the rolled steel factory, so we've got about a half a tank of fuel to work with, and we got to make it all the way over to the railway station from here. So I guess the clock is ticking. Your trailer legs will probably get caught up on this hill, but if you go around to the side, you should be able to get up there without a problem. And then we'll get turned around and head back out of here. Just want to keep in mind now that I'm getting low on fuel. I've been getting pretty lucky with the cargo not falling off these trailers when I'm tipped up on the side like that. Some of these tight corners, you're probably just going to have to winch the back of your trailer around to get through there. And the fuel level is dropping pretty quick. We're down to 80 liters and we still haven't made it out of the swamp yet. We'll grab these metal beams, and just up ahead we can cut off and get back onto the tracks and try to follow them back to save us some time. I'm actually starting to get pretty concerned about my fuel at this point. If you get into this situation and you think that you're probably going to run out of fuel before you can make it back, the best thing you can do is just drop your trailer and drive over their bobtail and get refueled, and then come back and get your trailer. It's much better than just running out. We're in the red. I don't know if we're going to make it. We do have a fuel truck sitting at the concrete plant, but I'd rather not drive it over here if we don't have to. I'm under 20 liters and I'm messing around on the tracks. We're pretty much running on fumes now, so I'm just gonna drop this trailer here and try to get in there. And we made it. That could have been avoided if I had remembered to get fueled before we left. Let's pull this tanker out here to where we can get access to it easier. That way if we do get short on fuel again, we don't have to drive all the way over there to top off. Alright, from here, we're going to run up and grab that metal framing that's up on the hillside. It's kind of in an inconvenient spot to get with any of the other trucks. And then we'll run all of this stuff over to the concrete plant. Like I said, there are a few spots out here that do have more materials, but they're not showing up on the map because we haven't driven past them. We'll be heading out in some of those areas later on when we're doing the tasks out there in the swamp with the other trucks. Alright, we got 3 bricks, 4 wooden planks, 10 metal rolls, 21 cement, and 2 metal beams. So we've stocked this thing up pretty good. We're going to stage this truck off to the side for now. Then we'll jump back into the garage, and I'm bringing out the Dairy Longhorn. I do have a low saddle on it. We're going to grab a lowboy flatbed, and we're going to shuffle some of those metal rolls over to the rolled steel factory. This time we're taking the highway. So I have chain tires installed in this truck and the high range gearbox. I feel like it's a good idea for this truck to also have the spare tires installed because we'll be cruising up these roads and there's definitely a possibility that you'll pop a tire here and there. We're almost ready to start working on the factory main block contract. We just need to get at least 1 load of metal rolls hauled over there, so we have a little more surplus to work with when it comes time to start crafting. So essentially you want to have at least 1 off-road truck with a low saddle trailer, and a heavy truck with an 8-slot trailer, and then some type of a highway truck with a low saddle trailer. And by using these different trucks, we can make this contract pretty painless. It's going to be a lot of highway driving from this point on. Okay, let's start tracking the factory main block contract. And I'm going to craft 3 small pipes, We'll load 2 of them up, and we can load up a brick on that last slot on the trailer. We can run these back up to the middle of the map and get them turned in. Getting turned around in here can be a little tricky. We've got a lot of stuff sitting in here now, taking up space. And after turning those in, we can just drive straight ahead and we'll get turned around in this big empty lot. You can use the 8-slot trailer for this part of the job, hauling all this stuff back and forth. But there's this one spot up here on the road where it has the kind of a sharp hill, right by where we parked the F750. And the 8-slot trailer gets hung up on that with almost any truck that you use, unless it's an extremely high saddle. The P16 has a really high saddle, but it's just difficult to get it up that hill without having chain tires. So I'm going to use the 5-slot trailer. It does mean we'll have to make a couple extra loads, but we should be able to cruise with it, so in the end it probably evens out. We can load up 3 of the bricks that we have here and a metal beam. You definitely don't want to craft metal beams for this job, because there's a lot of them around the map that we can pick up, and then that way we can save the metal rolls for other objects that we can't get here. Let's head back down to the rolled steel factory and we'll grab some small pipes and bricks out of there. So we need 2 more bricks. We can get those loaded right away. Then we'll grab that last small pipe, and we have room on the trailer, so we'll load up a 3rd brick and we can just turn that into one of the other contracts. Like I said, everything needs to go up there eventually, so if you have room and you have a 1-slot piece of cargo that you can fit on the end, you might as well bring it and just turn it in a different spot. And then let's track the sewage treatment contract, and we'll just drive up ahead here a little ways and turn this one in. Alright, we need to head back down to the concrete production plant from here, so we can drive ahead and take a right out of the back side of this area and get back on the highway. We have 3 concrete slabs and 3 metal beams left to deliver. so we can craft the concrete slabs quick. And then we'll load up that metal beam that we have left and grab one of the slabs. We have 4 wooden planks, 5 metal rolls, and 15 cement remaining. At some point we'll have to haul those last 5 metal rolls over to the rolled steel factory, but I'm not going to worry about it until we start working on the next contract. It's a lot of back and forth driving, but it's actually kind of enjoyable because you get to cruise. You definitely want to use a truck that has plenty of power with the high range gearbox for this. It just makes it a little more enjoyable when you're climbing some of these steep hills with a loaded trailer. The Dairy is a good truck. I have tried using the Dairy with an 8-slot trailer, and it's just not tall enough. You get up to that hump on the hill, and the trailer gets stuck there every time. We'll get these 2 slabs turned in, and then it's just the 2 metal beams remaining. We're not going to craft the 2 last metal beams. We're going to run down and pick them up in the metal framing that's along the side of the road. There's one here to my left. We'll grab that one on the way back. And there's one down here at the bottom of the hill. Okay, we have everything we need, now we just gotta get it turned in. This contract also requires us to have 2 cabins placed in the residential area, so we're gonna have to work on that next. We'll need to run down to the rolled steel factory and grab those 4 wooden planks so we can craft 2 cabins with them. We already took the cargo containers over there with the A&K at the beginning of the episode. Let's head back over to the cabin crafting zone and we can get those cabins made. Alright, the residential area that we need to unload these at is just up at the top of the hill. There are 3 different residential areas on this map, and we'll need to move the cabins around between them for the different contracts. So make sure you're taking them to the right one. We'll just pull off to the side here and unpack them. And then I'm going to show you how the game intended for us to load those. We'll jump back into the cat forklift, which we left right up at the top of the hill here, and we'll use this to load those into the residential zone. The second time we work with the cabins, I'm going to show you how I normally do it. The forks on this forklift are pretty narrow. There's also an option to install wide forks. If you take it back to the garage first, you can put those on, but I'm just going to make do with what's on here at the moment. You just have to be a lot more careful when you're moving around so they don't lose balance and tip off. Like I said, this is how the game intended for us to do it. And I don't have any problem showing you at least once, but I don't do it this way normally anymore because it's a big pain in the butt. And this is why you always see the side rails dented up on trailers in real life, from crappy forklift drivers like me, running into it. Alright, we got the first stage completed, but wait, there's more. Let's get this thing pushed in here and dropped off, and then we need to go load up 2 large pipes and haul those up there as well. All 3 of these factory contracts are 2-stage contracts. The second stage is usually pretty small in comparison to the main part, but it's still just that little bit extra that you gotta do before you're done. so we'll need to craft up 2 of the large pipes. And we can only load 1 at a time, obviously, with this trailer. And we'll haul these back up to the top and we'll get them turned in. Let me know in the comments what your strategy is for these 3 factory contracts and what trucks you like to use. We're on our last trip. We just got to get this one turned in and we'll be done with this. So like I said, this took about 3.5 hours in real time, and the bulk of that was just shuffling cargo around to the different production zones. You wouldn't have to do that before starting on the contract, but it's just my opinion that it helps to make things go a little bit smoother when it comes time to start hauling everything in. And we're back. Let's get this over with. Some excellent cutscenes in this map. Factory main block is now complete. After this, we need to work on the other 2 remaining factory contracts, but we're going to save that for the next one. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. We'll see you all then, and thanks for watching.